Greetings, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed the sermon this past Sunday, whether you were here in person or tuned in at a later time thanks to our live stream. And even if you weren't able to catch the sermon, perhaps this effort at unpacking at least a part of it will interest you in the sermon itself, so you can go back and take a look on our YouTube or find us, go to our website, and you can find the link to that service. I want to say just a little bit about what I was thinking when I titled my sermon, Does God Choose Sides? For many of us, it's difficult to conceive of a divine entity in the text or anywhere else for that matter that plays favorites. Now, many of us grew up with the story of the Israelites fleeing their bondage, and we all, with good reason, pull for them. And we get very excited when they make it through the sea that's been parted. And yet, we continue to be challenged by a figure, a divine figure, that actually murders. It kills the Egyptians. Many people have attempted to justify the activity or maybe explain it away, saying that's just how people used to talk, write, and depict God. All of those are fine if that's what you've chosen, but I wanted to complicate things a little bit further and say, maybe it's not so much God choosing people. In fact, I'm convinced that's not the case, but it's rather that God is always on the side of justice. And God will do whatever is necessary to secure safe passage, liberation, emancipation. And this last Sunday, I thought it was important to bring up specific examples of the problem of neutrality. Many of us, me included, have come to believe that the effort to remain neutral or to stand back from conflict was somehow an important and desirable position to occupy. However, subsequently, I have come to believe that we can't be neutral in situations of clear injustice. We can't remain neutral if there is a need that we have to address, that we're being called to address. And I spoke about Switzerland, but I could have indeed probably mentioned countless other countries which have attempted to remain isolated or neutral in certain situations, or at least on the face of things they've been neutral. But in many aspects, they've continued to profit in certain ways from an unacknowledged connection to at least one side, if not both sides of the conflict. I could have spoken about the United States or Canada or any other country. So I wasn't picking on Switzerland, but I simply referenced Switzerland because they're often lifted up as the paradigm example of neutrality. And so at the end of the sermon, I came to conclude and present to everybody that when it comes to justice and injustice, or bondage and freedom, there really is a choice that's not unlike the choice that's given to many of the figures of the Hebrew Scriptures. It's a choice between life and death, and we are always called to choose life. The way of bondage, servitude, and in many respects, the way of neutrality, because of its complicity in that bondage, becomes the way of death. I hope that my effort to maybe unpack a little bit about what I was saying maybe clarifies some parts of the sermon. My hope going forward is that by offering a little postscript, especially when I've tried to maybe reference too many scholars or passages within the text, I hope that this gives you an opportunity to weigh in. I appreciated the comments that were made last week in regards to the sneak peek that I was giving, but I hope going forward that you'll feel compelled to share your thoughts on the sermon. Maybe give some examples from your own life or talk about how it's challenged you in some way. My goal is for this to be a dialogue. And so I invite you to comment, to share, to reach out in some way and let me know. So thanks for joining. Thanks for making this time, and look forward to seeing you next time.